Hello and welcome to this lecture, and in this lecture we are going to talk something about a web crawler. So web crawler is nothing but it's essentially a Python code or a Python program which is going to crawl up the entire web. And what I mean by crawling is that it is actually going to visit a particular web page and it is actually going to capture all the links on that particular web page. So whenever you talk about a certain web page, you are always going to have certain amount of links on that particular web page, and what the crawler does is that as soon as it visits the web page, it actually captures all the links from that web page and it actually stores them in a file. So once all the links are captured, the next task which the crawler does is that it basically takes the saved URLs or the saved links and it actually visits that particular page, and it is also going to capture the links on that page, and this process continues unless and until the crawler actually captures all the web pages. So this is what a crawler is, and we will try to build an exact similar crawler in Python. So that's what we are going to learn in this lecture. So the first thing which we are going to do in the duration of this course or the web scraping section, so what we are going to learn in this section is to basically how to make a similar crawler. So in the first part of the section we will basically go through the basics, which is how to actually visit a web page and how to get the HTML source code, because obviously when you want to capture links from a particular web page, you do need to have the HTML source code, which basically is going to contain all the links. So let's go ahead and create a new project in PyCharm, and let's name this project as web crawler and then hit create, and that is actually going to create a brand new project for you. So in this project, what you need to do is that you need to right click here, create a new Python file, and let's name this thing as demo.py. So what we are going to essentially do in this case is that we are actually going to open up a HTML file, or we are going to open up a HTML page or a web page, and we are going to read the HTML source code from it. So what you need to first do is that you actually need to import a few things. So you simply type from urllib, which is nothing but a URL library which has the methods or the functions to basically open up a URL. So we type urllib.request import URL open. And after this, what we do is that once we have this URL open, so URL open is basically a function which is going to open up a certain URL which we pass to this function. So we simply type URL open, and to this let's pass a website, or let's say a web link. So let's pass in the link as http:// and let's say that is going to be www.wikipedia.org. Okay, so once we have this link with us, what this function does is that it's going to return us some HTML code. So what we need to do is that we basically need to print out that particular HTML code. So what we are going to do is that we are going to store this thing into HTML, and once we have all the information stored in HTML, we are going to basically print that thing out. And I actually misspelled Wikipedia, that should be W. Okay, so once we have this thing set up, the only thing which we need to do finally is that we actually need to print out the HTML code which is stored in this HTML variable. So you simply need to go right over here, type in print, and pass an HTML over here. So what this is going to do is that it's going to print out the contents of the HTML variable. So now I'm going to simply save the code, and if you right click and hit run. Okay, so I did one mistake here. Instead of just typing in HTML, you need to type in html.read, because the current contents are not in the human readable format. So it's actually a HTTP client response or HTTP response object. So basically to read the contents, we use a read function over here, and that should actually solve our issue. So once we do that, save the code, and when we run this thing, it's actually going to return us the entire HTML code for wikipedia.org's homepage. So as you could see, we get this output right here, which is nothing but a one-line output. So it basically displayed all the contents in a single line. So if you kind of scroll over here, as you could see, this is the entire source code for the Wikipedia's homepage. So this is how you could basically visit a particular website and get its HTML source code. And the reason why we are learning this is because whenever you need to extract the URLs from a particular web page, that is what a web crawler actually does. You actually need to first gain access to the website, or you need to actually get the source code of that particular website, because the source code itself is going to contain all the links. So let me tell you what I'm seeing right now. So let me just open up a web browser, and if you go to this Wikipedia's website, as you could see, this is the Wikipedia's web page, and this thing right here is nothing but a link. So whenever we open this thing up, another URL opens up on another tab. So if you right click over here and if you view the page source, as you could see, these things which are actually highlighted in blue lines and have an underline, they are basically the links which we want to capture, and we are going to do the exact same thing by using a web crawler. So the main job of a web crawler is to basically capture all those links, store them in a file so that the crawler could later revisit those links. So that's it for this lecture, and I hope you guys were able to understand how we could actually extract the source code of any web page by using Python. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.